What's up, guys? Paul from the sysadmin channel, bringing you the best tips and tools for your sysadmin journey. In this video, we're going to kick off a PowerShell and PHP video series to eventually create web applications to provision new hires, deploy servers, and we'll even get around to setting up a web app to get lapsed passwords. Once the code is all set, we'll secure everything using Azure AD SSO so we can not only use single sign-on, but limit who has access using Azure AD groups. All right, let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is open up PowerShell, and we're going to want to set the server up as a PHP server. So in order to do that, we'll install the Windows features. I'll go ahead and copy this in the description. That way you guys don't have to type this out manually. But essentially, we're installing the web server, FASTCGI, and the RSAT tools. All right, from there, we'll go ahead and minimize PowerShell because we are not going to need it anymore. And then from here, we're going to want to go to local server, and we want to disable the IE enhanced security. Since we're going to be downloading the PHP binaries and testing our PHP website, we want to make sure we don't run into any roadblocks. So we'll go ahead and bypass that for now. And then once that is done, we'll go ahead and open up Internet Explorer, and then we'll head to google.com. All right, so as a prerequisite, we're going to install the Visual Studio Redistributable 2019 version. Since we are going to be using the 64-bit version of PHP 7.4, we want to make sure that we install the 2019 version of Visual Studio as well. So we'll go ahead and kick that off. All right, and here we're going to accept the license agreements and then click install. This installation is pretty quick and it's pretty straightforward, so we'll just go ahead and next finish through this. And it should only take a couple of seconds. So once that's done, we'll go ahead and close it. All right, next up on the list, we're going to install the PHP binaries from the PHP website. So we'll go ahead and navigate to windows.php.net/download. And we're specifically looking for the VC15 x64 non-thread safe version, so we'll go ahead and copy that. And meanwhile, while that's downloading, we'll go ahead and open up the desktop to copy it over to our E drive. Our E drive is where we're going to host everything, all of our PHP files, so we'll want to make sure that when we extract it, we're going to extract it to PHP 7.4. All right, this should take only a couple of seconds. And then now that we have those files extracted on our E drive, we're going to scroll down just a little bit until we find php.ini-development, and then we're going to rename this to php.ini. And once that is done, we'll go ahead and open up the php.ini file with VS Code. And so this php.ini file is really the config file that PHP uses, so we need to tell it which settings are needed to optimize PHP for IIS. Normally people run servers under Apache or Nginx, but in our case, since we're going to be using IIS or Internet Information Services, we'll need to make sure that we make those adjustments accordingly. This is a pretty large file, so I'm going to save some time by using a control find and just searching for what we need. So the first thing we're going to search for is the FASTCGI.impersonate. It should be defaulted to 1, so all we'll need to do is uncomment it out. The next thing we're going to do is look for extension _dir, and we want to make sure that that is also uncommented as well. All right, next up, we'll want to change the cgi.force_redirect, and we want to change that to 0. And we also want to make sure that that is uncommented. I'll do another control find to find FASTCGI.LOGGING, and we want to make sure that that line is uncommented as well. And as far as settings in our PHP.ini files, I think that looks about good to go. All right, so in order for PHP to run properly, we're going to have to make sure Windows knows where the files are located. So in order to do that, we'll need to open environment variables and set the PHP folder under the path environment variable. So to do that, we'll go ahead and open up environment variables, and then we'll search here under system variables and path. And then we'll want to add a new directory. In our case, it's going to be PHP 7.4, since that is the location where we saved our PHP binaries to. All right, so once that is done, the next thing we want to do is confirm that PHP is working. So in order to do that, we'll go ahead and open up a simple command prompt. And then we want to type in php-v. If everything is working correctly, it should display the version of PHP that we're running. So in our case, it's going to be 7.4.12. And just a quick side note, if you run that command and you don't see anything, it might be because you downloaded the wrong version of Visual Studio Redistributable. So a good way to check on that is to click on the actual php.exe file within the directory, and then it should display an error. All right, moving on. Now that we've confirmed PHP is successfully installed, our next step is going to make sure that the service account that's running everything has the proper rights to the box. So we'll simply add our WebTool service account as a local administrator. And to do that, we'll go ahead and open up computer management, local users and groups, and we'll simply add our SVC WebTool account to the local administrators. This is also the account where we're going to run all of our PowerShell scripts and run our PHP sessions. So we just want to make sure that we don't run into any roadblocks. All right, so once that is done, let's go ahead and top it off by creating a WebTool folder. This is going to be the root of our project and where we're going to house everything. So we want to make sure that this folder is created ahead of time. All right, moving on. In order to resolve our website from anywhere on the network, we want to make sure that we add the proper DNS records in DNS management. We can do that by simply creating an A record and having it point to the IP address of our web server. So in my case, it's going to be 172.16.10.42. And then once that is done, we can head back into our project folder. And at this point, we have all of our prerequisites completed for setting up our web server. And now let's move on to configuring IIS. This means that we'll need to set up a web application pool. We'll need to set up the URL to use webtool.thesysadminchannel.com. And we'll also make sure that we set it to use the service account for our backend process. So with IIS now open, the first thing we're going to want to do is click on the root where it shows our display name of the web server. And then we're going to want to click on default document. And here we want to add an index.php file, since that is a PHP file that is used as the entry point of any website and application. Since our web application is going to be written in PHP, we want to make sure that it also takes priority over all index files as well. So we want to make sure that that is on top of the list above all else. Next up, we want to make sure that IIS can actually read PHP files. So we'll need to add a handler mapping. This is located on the same page as a document default. So let's go ahead and open that up. And once we're in there, we'll go ahead and click on add module mapping. And for our request path, we'll go ahead and set up star.php to make sure that it reads all PHP files. We'll select the FASTCGI module. And for the executable path, we'll need to make sure that the php-cgi.exe file that's located within our PHP directory is set. For the name, we'll set it to php74-cgi. And finally, we'll want to click on request restrictions and select the files or folder. This is added security so that the PHP code is ran under this directory and not under some other rogue directory. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and expand the root and click on our application pool. From there, we'll want to create a new application pool. For the name, we'll go ahead and give it WebTool. And once that is created, we'll go ahead and open up the advanced settings so we can set our service account as the account that's running the processes. So under our process model or identity, we'll go ahead and change that to a custom account. And here we'll just enter in the credentials for our SVC WebTool. So I'll go ahead and type in the username, the password, and the password again. And once we have all that set, we'll go ahead and click OK, OK again, and then OK one more time. Since we want to try and keep things as clean as possible, we're not going to be creating a virtual directory under the default site. If we were to create it under the default site, our URLs would be webtool.thesysadminchannel.com/webtool/new hire or webtool.thesysadminchannel.com/webtool/labs. And it may work for some, but I prefer to create a new site. By doing it this way, it will give us the URL webtool.thesysadminchannel.com as our homepage. And also an added benefit to creating a new site is that we can easily see the site at a glance. So it should be pretty easy to pick up. So from here, we'll want to right-click Sites and select Add Site. For the site name, we're going to call it WebTool. And for the physical path, we'll set it to the WebTool directory under our E drive. And just to make sure everything is looking good, we'll test the settings and we can see that there's green all around. Finally, for our host name, here is where we will set it to webtool.thesysadminchannel.com. Once that is set, we can click on OK. And with the new WebTool site created, let's go into the configuration editor. And next to where it says section, we want to expand system.webserver. And then if we scroll down a little to where it says server runtime, now that we have that open, we'll want to change authenticated user override to use worker process user. If you happen to set up Windows authentication, this will change the process to use the service account instead of the authenticated user that's running the web app. At this point, we're pretty much done with setting up IIS. So the next thing on our list is to create our index.php file so our web application can look there as our starting point. So let's go ahead and open up File Explorer. We'll right click to create a new document or a new text document. And then we'll go ahead and name it index.php, and then we'll remove the .text at the end. All right, so once that is created, we'll go ahead and open that up with VS Code. And now we're at a point where we can start writing our PHP code to set up our web application. But before we actually do that, I'm going to install the PHP extensions within VS Code. I am specifically looking at PHP IntelliSense and PHP IntelliFence. This will help us with any syntax errors and any errors in general, so it's a good idea to have them installed. So now that I have that installed, let's start off by opening up our PHP tags, and instead of typing in the typical hello world, let's output hello and the user that's running the code. And this can be done by typing echo, quote, hello, space, and then we'll end the quote, period, to concatenate the string, and we'll call the function get underscore current underscore user, and then we'll end it off with a semicolon. We'll go ahead and save that document, and if we go to our web page and type in the URL webtool.thesysadminchannel.com, we can see hello space svc-webtool. So let's go back into VS Code and we'll replace the echo string with PHP info. So we'll go ahead and call that function, and if we go back into our web page, you can see all of our current PHP server status. So for example, PHP version 7.4, if we look down, we can see more information in our PHP environment. All right, folks, in our next video, we'll continue the series by installing a Microsoft SQL Express instance where we'll create the initial tables necessary for our new hire onboarding web application. So definitely stay tuned for that. That about wraps it up for this video. So this is Paul with the Sysadmin Channel, signing out.